Good morning, whole wide world. I'm reaching out to you from this YouTube channel at dzahworlali. So today we'll be talking about the warfare of an apostle. So if you are called into the apostolic office, there are three warfares that I'm going to mention that you face. Then it's common in our days, and just as I said, when you look down through history, look down through the scriptures, look down through life experiences, you can pinpoint some of these challenges I speak about with all the offices. But you know that they are all called into those offices for the perfecting of the saints, for the edification of the body of Christ, that we may do the work of the ministry. Number one warfare of the apostle is that they face something we call atelophobia. Every apostle will have a warfare with this thing called atelophobia. What does it mean? That atelophobia means that the fear of being wrong. Every apostle would, in a point in his life, have that fear of being wrong. That fear of being wrong is sometimes very good and genuine, but you can see that in some instances it can bring about opposition, it can bring about confusion into the body of Christ and even among ministers. So one thing, if you are an apostle, that DNA would have something called atelophobia, the fear of being wrong. They never want to be wrong. They always want to be right. Every apostle. The teacher can teach and he doesn't care whether he's wrong or right. The apostle can prophesy. No. With courage and all, boldness, can teach with boldness wrong things and all. But the apostle would always be concerned. Am I teaching the right things? Am I doing the right thing? This is one thing about the apostle. That is why they became the cornerstone, that it was built on the foundation. The ministry was built on the foundation of prophets and the apostle, because apostles are intentional about being wrong. So one thing is in Acts 10 verse 30, when Peter was told, Apostle Peter was told to kill and eat, even though God had sanctified the animals, he still called them unclean because he was having this atelophobia, the feeling of being wrong, the fear of being wrong. He doesn't want to be wrong. So God convinced him that these are clean. Why will you call what I have clean unclean? So when you see that they start attacking people, apostles, they start attacking teachers, they start attacking prophets, they start attacking everybody all around the body, and you feel like everything is just about them. It's normal, because that will bring divisions in some way, because people will start saying, I am for Paul, I am for Apollos, I am for Cephas. Just all of them are called in the same office, but people have divided themselves into sort of like cartels, this region, this camp, this camp, this camp, and all that. So one thing about, if you are called into the apostolic office, you have to be careful that your fear of being wrong doesn't cause confusion and division in the body of Christ. There is one thing about being wrong. If another preacher is wrong, another believer is wrong, and you have to correct, one thing is to pray for them. The other thing is to oppose them in the face. In this year where there is social media, people can just stand on any platform, highly exalted platform, and just announce their opposition, their viewpoint, everything. That's not how it works. But how does it work? Let's look at Galatians 2 verse 11. When Cephas came to Antioch, I opposed him to his face because he stood condemned. This was Paul. He said he opposed Peter to the face before. Sorry. He opposed Peter to the face, opposed him to the face because he stood condemned. He brought a sort of thing that was wrong, that he was pretending. Paul took the responsibility to oppose him to his face. So one thing is, the opposition was to his face, not on social media where people can get the message and interpret wrongly, develop hatred for another preacher. So I took 5 minutes to talk about this because even now, as we see, apostles are kind of going to face this warfare. Number 2 is pride. Pride. So when you are in the apostolic office, you have to watch out for pride. Pride is something that causes people to fall. So when big apostles fall down, one thing that happens is pride. They ignore all the other ministry and they feel that their ministry is the highly exalted above any other. When you come to that point, you are walking in pride, that you feel like because you are an apostle, you are better than a prophet, better than a pastor, better than a teacher. No, we are formed to come and edify the body of Christ. So now, one thing, Apostle Paul ignored the prophetic advice of Agabus, the prophet Agabus, and even the people he went to preach out who were crying to him about things that will be happening in Jerusalem. They ignored those signals. It might be in the will of God to do that, but there is one thing that if you're not careful in having a thin line dividing those things, you might end up having pride. Number 2, the apostle Peter, who was being trained as an upcoming apostle who will be operating in that office, who was being called, wanted to correct Jesus on him dying on the cross. He brought him aside and started rebuking him about he saying that he will die. That was a form of pride. This was the Son of God. You were the same person who said that this is a Son of God. But now, flesh and blood didn't reveal that to you, but now you are rebuking him for the assignment and the purpose he has on this earth. And Jesus has to say, get thee behind Satan, because Satan is a father of liars. He's also the one with pride, because that pride was what made him to fall. He said, I will lift up myself on high. That was pride in its prime. So one thing about Satan is pride. So Peter bringing Jesus aside to rebuke him was one no-go area. The third thing, they can lose family and positive relationships. So apostles are people with a nature of losing family, relationship, and positive people in their life. The care of being wrong is also part of this. The fear of being wrong, the concern about other people, and they are just moving from one place to the other. So they establish a relationship, move from it, move to another one. So they have a lot of people coming in their spaces, and if you are not careful, they might even ignore you sometimes. So that's what happens. So we saw in Acts 15:36-41, Barnabas and Paul got separated simply because of an issue with inviting John Mark on their next mission trip. That was one division because they lost a relationship that was to have a positive impact on the body of Christ. Can you share, comment, subscribe to our channel? And one thing that I want you to carry from this message, which are the 3 points I just gave about the warfare of the apostle: atelophobia, fear of being wrong; pride, which some have; and also they losing key friend and destiny relationship. Stay tuned, and I'm coming next with the warfare of an evangelist. These warfares will also teach you which exact office that God is calling you into. I pray the eyes of your understanding be open. Bye, and stay tuned.